Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of RCT1 Scenarios but Beautiful. In this video I'm going to be taking on the classic RCT1 scenario, White Water Park. Now you probably all know this park. This park already has some excellent water-based rides and it requires expansion. So it has this dinghy slide over here, a dueling log flume, quite a weird choice in my opinion, but it does look pretty cool. And here we have a river rapids ride. And over here there's a boat hire, where quite often the guests aren't actually able to make their way back. Anyway, I think it will actually be fun to beat a scenario for once, because I pretty much failed the objectives in all the previous playthroughs except Poke Park. So this scenario is actually really easy to complete. So yeah, for that I'm just going to place down, let's do a drink stall, let's do a toilet as well. And just to be on the safe side, I'll also hire a handyman or two. A few mechanics. Let's just make sure that early completion is turned on. Where is it? Yeah, so this is an option in OpenRCT2 that allows you to beat the scenario as soon as you meet the scenario goals. And all we have to do now is run advertisements. So I'll just run all of them. And if we run them twice for 12 weeks, that should be enough to beat the scenario. Okay, there we have it. We've now beaten the White Water Park. Anyway, yeah, what I am going to do for this scenario is I will delete the original rides that are here, like the log flume, the river rapids, and the dinghy slide, and I will replace them with versions of these rides that I will design myself. Now, I'm also going to add a few more water rides. I think we can have a nice splash boat ride over here. This area will probably look nice for a big river rapids ride like the one I did in Fantopia. Can probably also fit a nice log flume here, and probably also another ride. So yeah, just lots of rides can be added, and maybe we can also have a nice roller coaster somewhere. Okay, I've now torn down all the existing rides and I made a perimeter around the park, as you can see here. So just a fence. I like it better than the normal park fence that the scenario has by default. And I made an entrance here for the park. You can see some toilets here. Some information kiosks have been hidden over here. I put some entertainers here, so it looks like they're selling the or giving the maps and the umbrellas to the guests. Over here I put some entertainers in front of a little gate with a guest costume, and yeah, they'll be checking the guest tickets and then allowing them into the park. But yeah, with that all done, now the game can really begin. Alright, here's the first pair of rides for the park. So there used to be a big dinghy slide here going all over the area, and I've replaced it with this pair of slides, which is a little bit more down to earth, I think. Now I actually used bobsleigh coaster track here, because with bobsleigh coaster track you can of course do these nice helixes, which you don't have with the normal dinghy slide track. So yeah, I think it works a little bit better. Okay, I might make some more slides in other locations in the park, but for now I think this pair of slides here looks nice, and it might be nicer to use the rest of this area for other kinds of rides. We can probably have a merry-go-round or a launched freefall or something similar like that. Anyway, yeah, I think this is a nice way to start the entrance of the park. And yeah, let's just continue building more rides in the park. Okay, that's another few rides added to the park. So here you can see a launched Freefall. Oh, it's pretty much same color scheme as the one that I built in Mount Dirkling quite fond of this color scheme. I think it works here pretty well. And on this side of the park I added this custom merry-go-round instead of the normal curved walls that I used, and I used a spiral slide in the middle instead. Let me know what you think of this. And over here I made this another pair of dinghy slides. I still need to make the exit look a little bit nicer, but I think with this done, this first part of the park is pretty much complete. I do still want to add some food shops and stalls and maybe some toilets, because I did see some complaints from guests who couldn't find them. And it looks like I put these roofs way too high. The isometric view strikes again. Anyway, got some fixing to do, and after that we can continue on a different area of the park. Alright, just a quick update. As you can see, I expanded these paths outwards. I made an exit here for this slide. And over here I made this new kind of ride. So basically it's just a station here that's on the slope. And it fills up with guests, and then it slides down into the water before it gets retracted back into the station. So yeah, I think it's quite a fun ride, quite a interesting shoestring as well, and definitely a fun ride to make. Alright, I think it will be fun to actually get to work on one of the bigger rides in the park. So I think what I will be building here next is one of these splash boat rides. Now the layout will be quite simple. I plan to just make it travel up a lift hill here, and then simply drop down into the water here. And I want to have a bridge passing over it. Alright, here's Whitewater Splash. It's a splash boats ride. Now I don't make these very often, but I kind of like the way this one turned out. So yeah, I opted to go for a diagonal lift hill on this ride. Of course I had to use a different kind of track, because the splash boats track normally doesn't have any diagonal track in this game. But yeah, I think with the wooden cozy track it actually looks quite nice. It's a nice large splashdown. Goes under this bridge here, which is also a nice way to connect to the other side. So yeah, and I think all in all it worked out pretty well. So I made a little station over here. So yeah, really happy with how this ride turned out. It also has a huge capacity, lots of guests heading towards the ride. So I think these rides are always good for throughput. Anyway, next up, just going to continue expanding the park over here a bit, and then just like in the original version of the scenario, I wanted to have a river rapids ride here. Now I should have plenty of space for it. I'm planning to have a station somewhere down here, just to make the ride travel up and then meander down. And finally I want to have a vertical lift here somewhere with a big final splash before it returns back to the station. I think that will be a really fun layout for the river rapids. Alright, here's the new Rapids ride. Now, I think it looks a lot better than the original one that was here in this spot. Now, obviously this took a lot more work to do than the original one that was here, of course. Yeah, it just takes so much landscaping to make a ride like this look nice. But I think I succeeded in the end. So just to take a look at what we have here. Here's the station. Quite simple. Let me quickly hide the entrance exit. We should probably finish this building here. Sometimes when you place an entrance or replace an entrance, some of the scenery that's on the tile might disappear. So that's actually what happened, but now it's here again. Anyway, here's the station. I used some pieces of hardline twister coaster track to make some of the drops and lifts for this ride. I think they work quite well with these River Rapids vehicles. Now here the rafts just meander back and forth a bit. Yeah. And over here there's two drops. And after that the rafts go into this tunnel here. Then they go up this vertical lift. I used some clever track merging here to make the boats reverse around. I actually did the same here for these dinghy slides here at the end. When they go down, you can see they do some weird maneuver, and that's just a great way to make them go back. Yeah, in a more compact footprint. But yeah, boats go up here vertically, and then they drop down this big chute here. Kind of like some of these river rapids do. For example, the one at Legoland Billund, I believe, also has a big drop at the end. Now, in the end, I also put some brakes, some hidden brakes here at the end, near the end, because the rafts would be flying through this curve, and that probably wouldn't be very safe. So yeah, let's just pretend they lose quite a bit of speed here while splashing down. Yeah, took quite a bit of work to complete this ride, but I'm really happy with it. Anyway, yeah, the original park had a log flume here in the back. Now, the original park actually had a dueling log flume. I'm not going to make a dueling log flume because I think it doesn't really make sense. It's not really feasible to synchronize these boats throughout the track. So I'm not going to do that. Instead it will just be a single log flume, but I think I'll just make it a pretty long one. Okay, I've added 2 more rides to the park. Here you can see this new log flume. Now, as I already said, not a dueling log flume, but I do think it's a bit more spectacular than the original one. So yeah, it now has its large drop over here. Also made it quite a nice station for it, with a lot of the queue also in it. And here in the middle I had a nice space to put one of these condor rides, which I really like to build in almost all of my parks these days. But they just look so nice, and yeah, they're pretty easy to do if you know a bit of shoestringing. But with that, the park's already coming together quite nicely. Still need to do some foliage here and there, but I won't bore you with that in this video. I'll probably do that in a time lapse or maybe off camera. Anyway, we still have a few more spots to fill in the park. We have this big area over here, and we have this big area over here. Well, we can probably fit some more coasters in there. It might be nice to have a water coaster in the park. Not even sure if I can fit that over here. Maybe we'll want that to also be in the lake at some point. Perhaps this area will actually be a good spot for that. And over here we'll probably just then have a coaster that runs here in the hills. But yeah, just a few more spots to fill. This park is filling up quite nicely, and it's all going pretty fast. I quite like that. Okay, here's the first coaster of the park completed. As you can see, it's a water coaster. I doubled up the track with some wooden coaster under the normal track. Let me quickly make these cross beams blue as well. That's the wrong one. There we go. Yeah, I quite like the layout. Here's the station, and the coaster then travels up the lift hill, which is underground here, and goes under this path. Goes through this spiral here, and then there's the first splashdown. Then it travels through this tunnel, and then it pops up here into some more water. The landscape dipped down here a bit, so I thought it would be fun to actually make some water behind here as well. Then here's the larger lift hill. Two more spirals here before the coaster dips underground again into a tunnel. Finally a bit of an airtime hill before it splashes down again, and then it returns to the station. So yeah, still a bit of decorating to do here. Still want to make some fences, foliage around here. And this is probably also a good spot to make some shops and stalls. Alright, I've worked on this area here a little bit more. As you can see, I added this coffee shop over here. Also sells cookies. Also put some entertainers in here. What I really like to do nowadays is actually make these entertainers hold whatever they're selling. So this entertainer is holding coffee, and this one's holding... well, I wanted to make it hold a cookie, but I couldn't find it in the list for sprites for the Peep editor. Maybe I'm blind, I don't know. But anyway, now I'm having it hold funnel cake instead. Maybe it says giant cookie? I'm not sure. If it's here in the list, let me know. Anyway, also added two more rides here. You can see this little spiral slide. Again, I put the entrance and the exit inside the footprint of this ride. Because then you don't actually have to make it show the building, and the queue path will actually connect right up to the ride. Something I like doing. And over here I made this disco ride. yeah, these rides are very simple to make. All you need is just a bit of track. I like to use the hybrid coaster track because it looks quite a lot like the track that these rides normally use. And yeah, normally they all have there's actually two layouts that these rides can have. So it's like a U shape or this shape that they have over here. I believe this model is called the Disco Coaster. And you just put in powered launch, passing station, a quite low launch speed, 5 circuits. So first time it actually doesn't make it over the hill. The second time it does, and then after that, for every circuit it does make it over. And yeah, it's just very simple to build, but it's great for filling up quite a small space of the park. A small stretch of park, I should probably say. And also quite like how it passes over the queue here for this water coaster. I think that's some nice interaction here. Oh, with that, yeah, I'm just really happy with how this little piece of the park turned out. Alright, I mentioned earlier that I wanted to build a coaster here, but there's another ride that I want to add, and a ride that I built in Future World, the previous park that I did in this series. Yeah, a ride that I really liked was the Jetski Ride. So basically it had 4 platforms with jet skis going on around it. And I think I'm going to make a similar ride over here. Now I am running out of space a little bit, but probably here in the middle would be a good space for a ride like that. And I think I can just connect a path from over here. Alright, that's another 2 rides added to the park. You can see this jet ski ride here. It's pretty much the same as the one that I built in Future World. But yeah, I really like this design, and I think it works great in a water park like this. Now, of course, here we also have the observation tower. Now, there's just one more water ride that I want to add somewhere to the park. Not much space left, but I do really want to have a boat hire, because the original scenario also had one of those. And finally we have this space over here to fill up, and I'm definitely going to build a nice roller coaster here. Okay, I've built 2 new rides once again. So first, here you can see the boat hire that I made. It uses these swan boats. Now, I did make some fences around the area where the guests are actually allowed to sail these boats. Because obviously you wouldn't want them to get too close to this ride or to this other water ride. I think these steeplechase fences with these concrete pillars actually work pretty well for this. Oh, and then over here I made the a launched coaster for the park. So yeah, it's kind of based on a Premier launched coaster, kind of like an Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando. So it's a triple launch coaster. So the station of the ride is over here. I should probably still hide this. Yeah, the station for the ride is over here. From there, the vehicles go onto this launch track. Now, first off, they don't make it over the hill, and then they go backwards onto this spike, which has a bit of a rotation in it. And then finally, they make it over the hill here. Then they travel under the splash boats ride through the 0G rule. Now, these vehicles don't actually have sprites for 0G rules, so it looks a little bit wonky, but I think it's believable enough. And finally, a few more airtime hills before they return back to the station. So yeah, all in all, I think this ride would not be too intense if it was a real ride. I think it would be a great fit for a park which is mostly focused on water rides, since it wouldn't be too intense. Now, obviously, I'm ignoring the stats here because the intensity is actually very high. But yeah, if it was a real ride, I think it would not be too intense. Anyway, yeah, that's most of the park area filled in. I think over here we can actually still make another ride. Now, a ride which is pretty easy to make and which I think could fit well here is one of these Star Flyer rides. I think the area that we have here for it is perfect, since for Starfly we would need an area around 7 by 7 tiles. I think it would be a great way to fill up this final area of the park. And when that's done, we can start filling up all the leftover bits with foliage and such. Actually, I've changed my mind. Not going to build a Starflyer here, but instead I'm going to build a Himalaya Ride here. Brian Andralczyk has a great tutorial on how to make one of these. I'm going to follow basically that tutorial, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Just gonna do it the way I prefer to do it in my style. But yeah, if you want to know how to make Himalaya Ride, his tutorial is a great way to do it. Just look for a Music Express tutorial. Anyway, yeah, this I think this area here is a great location to build one of these rides. So let's go. Alright, I've now built the Himalaya Ride or Music Express. Anyway, I called it White Water Spinner. Kind of follows the naming convention for all the rides in the park. They'll have white water something. Yeah, this ride has huge capacity. Now it's 104 people riding it. So this queue is probably a bit too short. But yeah, I think this ride fits here quite well. It's actually the first time for me building a ride like this, so let me know what you think of it. I think it's quite fun seeing these cars go around here on this track. Okay, and with that, I think that's all the space I have for rides, really. Don't want to make another tower ride next to here. Actually, I can probably fit another swinging ship here. But yeah, I will do that off camera. I will fill up the rest of the spots of the park with foliage. I will add several more entertainers in the park. And after that, we can take a tour and go buy everything that has been built in this episode. Alright, and with that, the park is completed. I have added this swinging ship over here inside this turnaround of the roller coaster. I made it a little bit differently than normal, but it's still mostly the same. So yeah, just your typical swinging ship. And over here, I made this top spin. Yeah, nothing really special about it. I did really like its location. I had this little outcropping of land here, so I thought top spin would fit in this location really well. Alright, also added foliage throughout the park. May have gone overboard a little bit in some spots. But yeah, it definitely makes the park come alive very nicely. Okay, something I've also done is added several entertainers throughout the park. You can see a few here playing in the water. Yeah, and of course, as in every episode that I make in this series, I will name all these entertainers after my awesome patrons. So if you want to also support me, a link is in the video description. I want to really thank all my patrons. They really give me extra motivation to make all these nice parks and these videos. So let's go ahead and give all these entertainers a name. Alright, and with that, all my patrons, all my amazing patrons have been added to the park as an entertainer. Now, if you couldn't see where you were added in the park, because it all went pretty fast, of course, feel free to download the park from my Discord server. The link's in the video description. It's completely free. And then you can check it out for yourself and see where you were put in the park. So once again, thanks a lot to all my patrons. Anyway, with that done, I think it's time to take a little tour through the park to see everything that I've built so far. Okay, here is the entrance of the park. Yeah, just a standard little layout. So here's some ticket machines. Here's a park info booth, some toilets. Over here, I've put some guests who will check the tickets from the guests. Now then, the guests go down with these stairs. Over here, I made this custom merry-go-round. I used this spiral slide tower here in the middle. I think it actually works pretty well for the center of the carousel. Little pizza stall over here. Over here, I made a pair of slides using bobsleigh coaster track. Over here I put another pair of slides in a different layout. I think it works quite well here in this downhill layout. Over here I made this a little boat ride where guests actually get dropped down, and then after that they get retracted back into the station. So I made these guardrails, which supposedly will guide the guests back to the station if the boat would veer off for some reason. Over here, my little top spin next to the water. You can also see some entertainers here in the water playing with the ball. And over here we have launched Freefall, the nice color scheme, very bright. On this side we have this big water coaster. It starts over here, and the guests travel up the lift hill here, and here's they spiral down into the water, and then after that they travel through this tunnel, go up this big lift hill, then there's a double helix here, and then there's a tunnel before finally here they splash down into the water. Now yeah, here on the side of this hill I put this disco coaster, the disco ride. Oh, it's pretty easy to build, but I think they are usually a great addition to any park. Made a little spiral slide here. There's a coffee stall. Now in the beginning there was this dueling log flume, and I actually demolished that and built this big single log flume instead. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think the layout is pretty nice. So lots of nice landscaping, and also gave the little tunnel here where it pops out next to the river rapids. I think that's some nice interaction. You can actually see some guests watching the log flume. Over here there's this big river rapids ride. So the station is over here next to the water. The rafts, they go up with this lift hill, then they meander down. Yeah, also with some pretty big drops. And finally here they go into this tunnel. Then here there's a vertical lift where they do a big slope downwards before they splash down here. I had to put some brake pieces here, so maybe the braking is a little bit too abrupt. But yeah, I'm happy with how this turned out. I really like how the river rapids yeah, ended up. Pretty nice. Over here we have the boat hire, which has these swan vehicles. Put some of these barriers to restrict the area in which the guests could go. Now I actually also made some invisible track here, so the guests don't just move around randomly, they actually follow an invisible track. That's also to prevent them getting stuck anywhere. Here I made this Jetski Ride, which is almost exactly the same as the one in Future World. Yeah, I really like these kind of rides. I like the one in Future World so much that I decided to just copy that layout and build it here as well. I think it's really fitting in a park that has so many water rides. Over here made this splash boat ride. So there's this big diagonal lift hill. And then finally boats travel through this water canal here, which is pretty high up. And then there's this huge drop into the water here. So you'll just have to imagine there's a huge splash over here, soaking everybody who's walking on the bridge. Over here I made this Himalaya Ride. First time I've actually built a ride like this. Yeah, it's this is a really simple shoestring to do. And yeah, first I planned to make one of these Starflyer rides here, but I think this ride is also a great fit, and I'll definitely build more of these in the future. Also have a huge capacity. So a great addition to the park, I think. And finally over here, there's this triple launch coaster. Partly inspired by rides like Icebreaker, as you can see here in the backwards spike. But yeah, it uses some of the new elements that were given to the limb-launched coaster in Open Rollercoaster Tycoon. There's this 0-0. Now, the trains don't actually have sprites for them, so it looks a little bit wonky, but I think it's believable enough. But yeah, I think it's a fun layout, and so here in this turnaround I built this custom swinging ship. You can also see some mechanics here on top doing some funky stuff. And there's also this observation tower here. But yeah, that was White Water Park, or Aqua Park as it's known in American English. I think this was a really fun park to work on. I actually got it completed pretty fast. Yeah, I'm really happy with how dense it is at the end. Great amount of rides. Yeah, it was just really fun to work on. Now, if you want to download this park, you can download it from my Discord server. Links in the video description. Now, if you liked watching me build, please consider giving this video a like. It would really help out my channel. And also let me know in the comments what is your favorite ride in the park. Now, to end this video, I think it will be fun to take a ride on some of the rides in the park. We'll definitely take a ride on the coaster and probably some of the larger rides as well. Anyway, hope you liked the video, and I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.